Step 0 of growing new Typebeat channel for me is always defining my new sound. This is making decision what kind of specific sound would I like to develop in coming weeks, in coming months, or maybe in coming years. Okay, I would like to emphasize at the beginning. At the start, I'm not thinking about specific niche, I'm thinking about specific type of sound. If I enter new thing with my production, if I want to run this new channel of listeners, of customers, I want to at first think what kind of sound would be nice for me, okay? And when I'm thinking about developing some new type of sound, which doesn't have to be some new exotic sound, it just has to be new for me to kind of improve my capabilities as a music producer, okay? So I'm always thinking if I have any competitive advantage of this sound, because I don't want to do this in a hobby manner. So yeah, I'm now interested into producing country music, so I will get into country. No, I'm thinking what kind of sound gives me competitive advantage over other producers trying to enter that, okay? What's the reason? Because in this situation, even if I put a lot of work and other people put a lot of work, so let's say that I'm putting 100 hours per week and other guys also putting 100 hours per week to just dominate some niche on YouTube type beats, let's say Drake type beats. Now, if I have some competitive advantage, which means I can make those beats quicker, better, faster in some way, I will win. But if that guy has some competitive advantage, it means that with the same input, he will outperform me. Okay, so I'm looking for things that will give me competitive unfair advantage. I'm talking literally unfair advantage. So at first, I'm checking if I can create specific type of sound, specific type of beat fast and easy. Okay, so if I can create some kind of beat in, let's say, 30 minutes without a sweat, I now think that this is proper sound for me. Okay. Another thing, do I really like this sound? Okay, this is the weakest bullet point of this, but if I really like this sound, even if it's hard to create it, it also can give me some competitive advantage, because now, if we're working in the same manner, okay, me and you, the same hours, the same input, but I just enjoy this sound more than you, it means that in the long run I will sometimes put this extra 20 minutes of work, this extra beat, I will add this extra little touch to the beat, and those little changes, those little improvements will actually make me outperform you, motherfucker. Okay, so if you really like some type of sound, if you really feel that you would love to kind of devote next month of your life to that's just creating it, improving it, it's also competitive advantage. And so these are like two pillars of choosing sound for you. And now the thing is, the last kind of checkpoint before deciding what is the best sound for you is, would I be happy with creating 200 beats in this style? Okay, because now let's say you think, okay, I will create those hyper pop beats, okay, for some, those indie artists creating this weird music. Okay, will I be happy with creating 200 beats like this? Not 20, not 50, 200, okay, because that's very likely that it's gonna take you making 200 beats before a real blow up or something, okay, we just need to admit that. And now, because even if you could make those, I'm saying you should be happy with making them, not just be able to do it, because if you can barely make them, and even if you achieve some small success with this channel, it still means that now you're successful but you're miserable, but now you're just creating music that you don't really like, okay? And it takes us back to the point that guys that enjoy this kind of sound will outperform you, because at some point they will not have need for taking days off, because they are just happy producing, so they will outperform you in this way, okay? So think, if I can, 200 beats in this way. So now, once we decide that we want to make this specific type of sound, okay? So for example, we're thinking, okay, so we want to make this trap beats that are in this underground style, maybe with synthesizers and with some, let's say, 808 to some other bass beat switch, let's say, okay? It's not something that we can really put into words this easily, because it's very broad idea that I want to make trap beat that will sound in this way. I have this in my mind, but I can't really put it into words, okay? I think that you know what I'm talking about. Now, that's the moment where I want you to find the niche. And now, important thing, you want to change niche to your sound, but you don't want to change sound for your niche, okay? your sound comes first. Because at first you want to think about your competitive advantages and then you want to think how can you use them. Because I'm telling you, if you're producing for some time and you're not a complete retard, you have some competitive advantages and you better use them because other people already use them. Okay? You don't want to enter the competition where everybody is talented, where everybody already is just, has some upper hand in making this type of sound, and you just entering it with a YOLO, I will try to do my best, okay? Because it's nice. It's kind of badass to enter in this kind of situation, okay? When you're entering the room with 20 chess players who already are playing chess for 20 years, and they are some 200-300 elo type of guys, those Korean motherfuckers. It's badass to kind of try to win with them, but the truth is you will not win with them, okay? So it's a nice story to share with somebody, but the thing is we don't want to enter the competition where we are meant to lose. Okay, so now how would I literally find a niche for my sound? Okay, so I always am inspired by some music, okay? If you're a guy who just, sits into goes into a studio and goes like completely on some complete fucking freestyle, it's more difficult. I'm not sure what to tell you then because I'm not totally this type of guy. I'm the type of guy who thinks, okay, I want to make some Jersey Club type beat today, okay? I want to make some beat that would be nice for future. I want to make beat that would be nice for BX the Plague, okay? I just get inspiration from some artist and then I start producing, usually. That's how I got, for example, into making BX the Plague type beats. That's how I got into Jersey Club type beats and W8 type beats, Metro Boomin type beats, always. I'm listening to some album, to some song, to anything, and I'm thinking, yo, I would actually love to do that. So, literally what I'm suggesting, you get some inspiration, because when you're creating some type of sound, you have some inspiration, and you just then Google it, okay? So, for example, you are, let's say, roughly making Jersey Club type beats. But now you want to Google if it's proper to make only Jersey Club type beat. This tag, for example, is probably it's not specific enough. So, for example, you can go for Jersey Club Ice Spice type beat. Maybe there is this guy Kylie Rich type beat, okay? Maybe you will think that there is this jerk drill kind of subgenre on YouTube. So maybe I will get into this, or maybe you are making some underground type beats, and now you're thinking, okay, maybe it will be splurge type beat, but it could also be some, I don't know, this Chief Keef type beat, let's say, okay. And generally now you're researching it, and you don't need to really go with this artist that was your inspiration at the beginning, but you want to check things that are kind of attached to this artist that sound really fucking similar, but just have better branding, okay? But generally, for me, the rule of thumb in finding the niche, for example, for YouTube type beats, is not actually about finding the best niche in the world, because there is no such thing as the best niche in the world. You just need to make sure that niche is not dead, and there is so fucking simple formula for this. You're, for example, researching Drake type beats, and now I want to check if Drake type beats are still alive. Or let's say you're researching Kanye West college dropout type beats. I'm checking if this niche is dead or not. You just check if you can find 3 competitors, three guys that are right now making beats every week, okay? So 3 guys that are already in the niche, and if in the last, let's say, 8 weeks, if there is at least few videos over 10k views, okay? So 2 things. At least 3 competitors in the niche, and at least, like, let's say 2 videos over 10k in 8 weeks. And now there are niches, okay, that we will enter that's like, 10k in them is literally nothing, okay? But you can also enter niches where 10k is actually the best performing video in the whole niche, because the niche is more specific, more broad. But also don't think that bigger niche means bigger money, okay? Because at first, bigger competition, so it will be split between more of you guys. Other thing, when you are specific, you can make higher prices. When you're making just freestyle rap beats, you will sell them for like $10 each, okay? Because, by the way, no serious rapper will actually use those beats. But if you're making this old Kanye West college dropout, no drums type beat, okay, this is something like that, you could sell basically for like $80, and people would still buy that, because actually they have no other way around it, okay? They could go to some custom beat producer and buy exclusive beat from him for like $500, okay? So your deal would be good anyway. And now, the last thing that I really have to do when I'm developing new type beat channel is finding those 3 competitors and now just stealing ideas from them. And I don't mean stealing ideas for beats, but stealing idea for branding, okay? So for example, you just enter some, I don't know, let's say Metro Boomin type beats. You find free competitors, free guys that are already uploading. And there is no need for the best guys in the niche, just free guys that are already making proper views, okay? So let's say 1000 views per video at least, okay? So don't try to copy guy with 5 subscribers, there's no point in that. Try to copy guys with at least few thousands of subscribers, okay? Don't go below that. And also guys who are active. Don't copy guys that were, for example, successful with this type beats 2 years ago or even like 6 months ago. They need to be up to date like right now while you're entering the niche, okay? And now we want to make this little research. So we're checking, I just had to write this down because there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that you need to just research about your competitor. At first, you want to check their intros. Okay, so you're checking if the intro is long, it's short, maybe there is no intro, maybe there is sample in the intro, maybe there is some movie clip in the intro, maybe there is some, there was this nice effect with reversing the beat in the intro, maybe there is some part next door sound kind of effect, some underwater effect. I could go like this for hours and hours. You want to check what kind of specific intro is the most specific for your sound. Okay, for for those guys generally, you want to check what are their more successful intros. Then you go for duration, so we just check how long are their videos on YouTube, literally 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, okay, because that also matters. You want to check what is on their thumbnail, so you're just writing down, for example, competitor number 1, he has hot girls on thumbnail, competitor number 2 has some guns on thumbnail, competitor number 3, photos of rappers, okay? Now we want to check beat style, this is like thing number 4 to check. So we're just checking if these beats are sample based, made from scratch, are they like underground type beats, are there beat switches in there, maybe they're meant for love song, maybe they're meant for diss tracks, okay? We don't want to get like too specific, but we want to have some broad idea what are those beats like, in a few words, okay? So generally, like at first, check if are there samples or no. Maybe they are using a lot of vocal samples or they are not using any vocal samples at all. Maybe they are using some folk samples. Maybe they are using just soul samples. Maybe they are making 2 beat switches in the beat. Maybe they are making those beats only like for love songs, or maybe they are focused on making beats for like diss tracks, okay? So just make sure, do your research what style of the beat is the most interesting in the niche, okay? For those specific guys. Then you check their titles, so just check how are those guys literally making titles. So usually all of them have kind of the same title. So let's say Free, Future X, Metro Boomin, Type Beat, and they have some title, okay? And that's it literally. Then you check their description, because they will also put those little tags in the description, so we can just copy their whole description if you don't want to. It's better to copy their description than to just fuck around with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will give you some complete fucking BS with description. So we can just copy them if we have no idea what should you put in tags and all those little information. And the last thing you want to check their tags. So you, for example, just go into this website tag grabber, like something like that. Check the tags. I can give you some link in the description or something. Yeah, YouTube tags extractor. YouTube tags extractor. You can type it. YouTube tags extractor. So so you know. And then you just copy literally their tags, and you also write this down. And now, because for example, one guy will have girls on thumbnail, another one will have rappers on thumbnail. You're finding competitor that has sound the closest to your sound. Okay, so let's say. And 2 guys are very similar, but one is more sample based and makes beats more for love songs. In this is still in the same niche. Another guy is more into doesn't really use samples and is less about love songs, okay? Because in one niche we could go with more love song type of melodies and more diss track melodies. You just choose the guy who is closer to you. If one guy is using samples and one is not using samples, if you're sample based producer, you go to sample based producer, okay? And you copy his intro, you copy his tags, you copy his description. You want to make generally research on all of those guys, because sometimes you can just mix some of them, because you can see, for example, that this one specific guy, that his tags sucks or his thumbnail suck, okay? But his, for example, intro duration, it seems like it is better, okay? So then you are just mixing it, but in general, you're doing research to understand what is actually going in the niche. and but then you're copying actually the most similar guy to you. And now what is the last step? Making some schedule upload. Okay, so your hours of posting don't matter. Like generally YouTube admits it, and even YouTube Studio, that like hours of posting don't matter. So the only thing you need to worry about is just choosing how many bits per week do you want to post, and you want to choose specific days. You don't want to mess around with that later. So what I would say, like you need to answer the question: how many of these bits could I create this week? Okay, and I don't mean that you could do this barely. Okay, I don't mean that you could do this literally with not going to the job, not going to school, literally only sleeping and producing. But I mean, if you anyway would have to go to school, have to job, you'd have to go to work. So you would have just the same time as usually. Could you make double of those beats? Okay, for example, if you could create during your regular week without some extra free time 10 beats, you can go for 5 uploads. If you can. If you could get at best 8 beats, go with 4 uploads. And why is that? Because you will usually get less, because you will get distracted, because at some day you will decide that you go for a date, you go for a party, you just, you have to study, you need to do some extra stuff in your work, and you will need to make some beats in advance. And generally it's good to have like capabilities of getting beats in advance, because at some point you can get sick, you want to go for a holiday. Generally there will be sooner or later this moment when you can't upload beats for 2 weeks, and that's so fucking true, because for example I'm generally working with this one producer, Harris Beats, shout out to you by the way, and he actually, once we started working on his YouTube channel, he instantly got sick. So yeah, like, and to the point where he couldn't even produce. So yes, just you need to understand that at some point you will have problem with producing, like not problem, you will not be able to produce. So that's why you want to be capable of producing twice as much as you will usually upload. And that's literally all I would personally do while setting up new Typebeat channel. Like, if I make new Typebeat channel tomorrow, I will go with the same steps that I just shared with you today. So if you want to get more advice from me, you can go check out my paid product. It's first link in the description. You get like at least 10 hours of courses on selling beats there from me. You're also getting community of like-minded producers, and also community with me. And I also put there weekly exclusive content, and maybe even daily exclusive content. And we also go once a week on like this video call with all members, and we are talking about our achievements. You can ask me questions, stuff like that, and it's like $30 per month, so cheap. So just go into first link in the description. That's all for today. Bye.